This is the Diamond Hogs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
Welcome to the Diamond Hogs Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Choate, joined as always by Robert Stewart. We are back in studio, Robert, and we have a great episode for you today. We're going to have Tanner Marlar from Cowbell Corner and the Reflector. He covers the Mississippi State baseball team. He's going to give you guys some insight on the Bulldogs. And then we're going to talk about the series, got to talk about Little Rock midweek. We've got a lot to get to. And what a Tuesday midweek game it was. 4-hour-long Tuesday midweek game.
Yeah, thankfully it was only one instead of two. I was not super interested in covering another 4-hour game that didn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, what a game it was. Nice job to bounce back from a 6-0 deficit through 2.5 innings, and they hit around 3 times. That's pretty impressive. I don't care who they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, the Arkansas bats came out. They started off slow, as per usual for an Arkansas baseball team, but they figured it out. Market Domiak, though, oh, man, oof.
Twice as many runs allowed as outs recorded.
Yeah, so
tough start.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that all here on the Diamond Hogs Podcast. But before we do, as always, we need to remind you that you can listen to us on the Hit That Line Podcast Network. Very thankful for the folks over at hitthatline.com. So anywhere you get your podcast, just type in Hit That Line, and you can find the Diamond Hogs Podcast. Most of you are probably listening there right now, so thank you. If you need to read a recap of a game, go visit hitthatline.com. That's where Robert's recaps are. And follow them on Twitter at hitthatlineAR for Robert's live tweets. That's how I keep up with games when I'm not able to watch. And I'm being legit. I look up hitthatlineAR because I know that Robert's got the live tweets, and then I'm caught up with the game. So hitthatline.com. Also, HawgBeat.com. We're over on the HawgBeat YouTube. Robert, he's waving. And go subscribe to the HawgBeat YouTube. Watch the video version because we put a lot of work into that. So I know it's an hour long and I'm not expecting you to watch the whole thing. Just click the watch button or click on it. Then that counts as a view, and that's awesome. So it's all about numbers in this business. It sure really is. So go visit HawgBeat.com as well. The best Razorback baseball coverage around. Andrew Hutchinson does it better than anybody. I do some baseball stuff over there as well. Pete D'Alessandro does baseball stuff. He was on the Diamond Hogs Podcast.
Did a pretty good job. What'd you think?
I thought Pete was good. He's no Mason Choate, though. Good for Pete, though.
There's no Mason Choate.
Well, the best thing about Pete was you can say, "What does he do, Pete?" And then
precisely.
And so that's the only good thing about Pete. We need to have Pete in here just to sit in the corner so it can be like, "What does he do, Pete?" And then he says he gets on base, and that's all he's good for.
Get him a pair of Jonah Hill glasses or something.
Yeah. Okay, so anyways, HawgBeat.com. Go subscribe right now. The student deal is awesome. I think it's $11.95 for a year if you email AndrewHutchinson413@gmail.com with your student email, your .edu email, and he'll get you hooked up with that. So go subscribe. I know for a fact that Razorback baseball players subscribe to HawgBeat.com. So if they do, then you should. HawgBeat.com, HAWG beat.com. Okay, and we're also brought to you by Barley and Vine in Bentonville. Robert, we haven't gotten up there this week. We're supposed to go.
I know it's been a long first week back, but there's plenty of time.
I know spring break really threw us off, but Barley and Vine, you have no excuse. Whoever's listening right now, you have no excuse. Go get in the car, keep the Diamond Hogs Podcast on, obviously, and then go to Barley and Vine. They're located at 113 West Central Avenue in Bentonville, Arkansas, Suite 103. That's downtown Bentonville. And get yourself a drink. They're a craft beer tap room and wine bar. They have 32 beers on tap with several more in cans and bottles. They have a wide array of wine selections. So that's from reds, whites, and sparklings. I'm not a wine guy, not going to lie to you. And they also offer several wines by the glass and have even more by the bottle. It's a perfect place, Robert. I mean, we need to go play the shuffleboard.
Exactly. I've got a shuffleboard itch that I need to scratch.
I know. And if you want to watch Razorback baseball Friday night, because the game's going to be on national television, which is SEC Network, but that's national television, go to Barley and Vine and watch it if you can't get to the ballpark.
You know what we should do? Maybe we should go up there during the Florida series when they're on the road and watch one of the night games.
Oh, we should. We should do that. We might actually do that. I'll talk with Trisha, see what we can get done.
Sounds good.
So, yes, Barley and Vine, and go check them out there in downtown Bentonville. Okay. Razorback baseball.
Razorback baseball. You and me in studio for the first time in like 3 weeks, it feels like.
I know, dude.
It's good to be back.
So what do we even need to talk about? We got to talk about UALR.
Yes, they like to call themselves Little Rock now, but the AP style book still says UALR, so.
Freaking nerd. You're a nerd. AP style book says this.
I never said I wasn't.
Okay, well, you don't have to follow the AP style book when it comes to podcasting.
You're right. But for those of you confused by why I tweeted UALR and all of the ESPN Arkansas tweets the other night, that is why.
Okay. So 16-8 started out 4-0 in the first, thanks Mark Adamiak. And then they bring in Miller Plyman. And Plyman goes, 2 1/3, I think?
Miller Plyman had a pretty good outing. He did go 2 1/3. He did give up 2 runs, one of which was unearned. You can thank Braden Webb for his 2-base error on that one. Gave up a couple of 2-out hits in the third for the 6th run. That one was earned. But it feels like he settled things down, honestly, and it gave the bats a chance to get back in it. Like once you feel like you're under control, I imagine that's how the Razorbacks felt, because they scratched across 2 in the third with a couple of 2-out hits of their own. Robert Moore and Chris Lanzilli with a double and a single respectively, and I think Van Horn said it either in Thursday's media availability or right after Tuesday night's game, but he felt like that sort of changed things for the Hogs, and took a couple innings for them to tie it up, but change things it did.
Yeah, so they were down 7-2 going into the bottom of the 5th.
Thanks to a Canyon McWilliams home run. How about that name, folks?
Canyon McWilliams.
Got a killer stash, too.
So, yeah, he hit a long ball, and you're thinking, holy crap, it's 7-2. We're in the bottom of the 5th. What are we going to do? And Arkansas was like, well, let's just go score 5 runs and tie it up.
Yep. Caden Wallace responded with a leadoff home run of his own, and then free passes just killed the Trojans, man. Walk, hit by pitch, walk. Jalen Battles, he drives in a run with an RBI single. Another one scores on a fielder's choice by Kendall Diggs. They tried to turn 2, didn't get any. Wild pitch brought another one home, and then Drake Varnado tied it up. And then Diggs almost gave him the lead, but was thrown out at home. But no matter, because they came right back up in the 6th and hit around once again.
Yep, four more runs in the 6th, and that really put the nail in the coffin.
It did, and then just for fun, they went out in the 8th, hit a couple of long balls. Kendall Diggs with his first career, that was pretty big.
Yep.
And then Braden Webb with his team-leading 5th, and that's 5 in, the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
Dude's on fire.
Because he didn't have a home run until he hit a freaking grand slam. No, he didn't have a hit until he hit a grand slam. And now he leads the team in home runs, which is just, it is crazy. It doesn't feel like it, but it is crazy. And he's almost hitting 250 now, which is crazy.
How about that?
He's hitting 241. So, I mean, I know you're still a little bit away, but 240, for him to be hitting 241 and not have a hit like 2 weeks ago.
Right. Hold on, what was it, 0 for 23 or 0 for 24 that he started the year?
I don't know off the top of my head. We could just pull up his little roster thingy, because that goes game by game.
Okay, let's say 13 divided by 30, because he's got 54 at-bats, so if we take away 24, he's hitting 433 over his last 2 weeks.
He didn't have a hit until the Grambling game. That was his grand slam. So, let's see, 6, 8, 9, 14, 18, 20. He had at least 20 going into the Grambling game. I don't know how many at-bats he didn't get a hit in the Grambling game until he hit the grand slam.
Well, what was he in the Grambling game?
He was 1 for 4.
Okay, so 3. Because it was
20,
his last at-bat.
So it was 23. He was 0 for 23.
Okay, so he's hitting 419 since...
Wow.
With the walk-off grand slam started a 2-week stretch of hitting 419.
Wow.
That's a turnaround, man.
That is a turnaround. I mean, if you only count that stretch and you don't count the first 23 at-bats, then he leads the team in batting average.
Well, and I mean, he turned it on at the right time, because those were the last 2 games before the first conference series.
Well, you could say he turned it on at the right time, but the right time is not right now, because you played Kentucky and Missouri. So
sure, yes, we talked about this last time, how they're starting the season with 3 unranked opponents miraculously.
But Mississippi State should not be unranked. You can't count that. Because Mississippi State, Mississippi State, defending national champions, talented roster, they have good wins. I mean, they beat Texas Tech.
Right. They're sort of hard to figure out. I think they're still trying to find their identity post Landon Sims.
Yeah. That was one thing that Dave Van Horn was asked was, how do you think that it's different? You guys had Paulette go out before the season starts, but they have Landon Sims go out during the season. And according to Dave Van Horn, it really was like, well, you just got to get over it and move on.
Right. I mean, he was like, injuries are going to happen in our sport, especially to pitchers, so you got to be prepared for that. And, they didn't have to worry about their bullpen at all, right? Because Sims was their closer last year, transitioned to the ace role this year, and so the bullpen was fine. You just have to find another guy to pull out and start every weekend.
Yeah. And, I mean, it seems like, I don't know. Okay, so Mississippi State, they're 16-10 on the year, 3-3 in conference play. And so you look at it, since conference play has started, they've played Georgia. They lost 2 of 3 to Georgia.
Gave up 11-plus runs twice in that series.
The first game they lost 11-0. The second they lost 12-11. And then, of course, they go and they win 20-3 in the third game.
It's just bizarre.
I was telling you before we recorded, it seems like they either lose or they score double-digit runs and they win. And
right.
So, but you look at Alabama last week, they won 2 one-run games Friday,
both
Saturday.
Walk-offs, I think.
Really?
I think so.
Okay. And then those were both in Starkville, by the way. And then they lose Sunday. And then they beat Memphis in a midweek this week, 10-4 on Tuesday. So
I understand there was a pretty galvanizing moment in that Memphis game. They were playing at I think the AAA ballpark up there in Memphis, and their head coach Chris Lemonis got ejected, and then they went on this crazy run and won 10-4. But the thing that stands out about their SEC series to me is that they lost the first one but had a positive run differential, and then they won the second one but had a negative run differential. So it's really a mixed bag with this Bulldogs team.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing from an Arkansas media perspective, and we've talked with other guys like Andrew Hutchinson, and it's like we don't really know what's going on with Mississippi State because we don't watch Mississippi State. So that's why we're having Tanner on to tell us what's going on because we don't know. Right. And so we want to figure that out. But it's like Mississippi State's going to come into Fayetteville and they're going to give you your best shot. So
yeah, I mean, he said it in Thursday's press conference, right? Like maybe they're not playing to the national championship level they were last year, but you can't overlook them. You can never overlook a team in the SEC, especially a team that just won it all.
Yeah.
Even if they're off to a mediocre start by their standards.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think Arkansas, it should be a great series this weekend. It's unfortunate that Mississippi State is doing bad because this was one of the best series going into the season. This might have been number one. And you think, well, you still got Ole Miss and Vandy and LSU, but to have Mississippi State preseason, Arkansas preseason, I think this was one of the series that a lot of the national media were trying to come to, and so it is unfortunate.
Did Kendall Rogers say he was going to come to this one? We had a chance to talk to him in Round Rock.
I don't know. It's one of the four big series.
That's the thing is, like,
no, I think he said LSU.
Okay,
I think he said LSU.
Like I remember the home slate last year. None of the games were really that, or none of the opponents were really that special until Florida came in, and they swept Florida. But the slate this year between the two Mississippi teams, LSU and Vanderbilt, I mean, that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, I mean, imagine if you had Tennessee added into that.
Oh man,
you take away
Kentucky,
Kentucky, and you play Tennessee.
Oh,
dude, that would be. I mean, it would probably be bad because I feel like at this point Arkansas might get swept by Tennessee.
Tennessee is playing out of its mind right now.
Tennessee is so good at baseball. So. But as far as, let's go back to this Little Rock game. We got way off track. How did we get off track from Little Rock?
I don't even remember, to be honest with you. But I did want to talk about Evan Taylor.
We got to talk about Evan Taylor, and we got to talk about Gabe Starks.
Yes, both put up zeros. They were the only guys to put up zeros. Ramage and Vermillion each gave up a run. But
are we just out on Cole Ramage, by the way?
Yeah, I think I should probably follow up with Dave and ask him if he wants to rag on Ramage now.
Yeah, say, hey, Dave, I asked you a question earlier in the year, and you kind of burned me for it. But you can either burn me again, or you can admit the facts. Cole Ramage just sucks right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Maybe he doesn't suck in general, but his past few outings, I think even Cole himself could admit he's been pretty darn bad.
Right, and what game was it? I think Saturday when he had those 3 consecutive wild pitches that scored a run after he walked a guy on 4 pitches. I think it was Hutch that asked him, like, what happened with Cole Ramage there? And he was like, well, you got to ask him. So, yeah, tough game for Ramage. Did give up that one solo shot, but he had a couple of strikeouts. That was the only hit he gave up. And then Evan Taylor came in, did a really good job. He entered in a tie ball game. I don't know if he thought he'd be pitching when it was a 6-0 game, but came in, did a great job. Got a couple of weak ground outs to himself, looking strikeout in the 6th inning, and then worked around a 1-out single in the 7th. And, I mean, at that point, he had a 4-run lead, so it didn't really matter if he gave up a base runner. Got the win in relief, and I don't know, did you see this tweet by Steven Scotch, the @BigDonkey UVA pitcher from last year?
All the brothers got a win this week.
Yes. There are 3 Taylor brothers, and they all earned wins in relief.
Yeah, that's
crazy is that?
That's pretty cool. It is. It's another one of those examples of Evan Taylor getting the win, and I don't know. I don't feel like any pitcher should get a win in a game like this when you got 5 guys. Wait, is that 5 or 6? 1, 2, 3, 4.
I mean,
6.
if we're going solely off of discretion, Evan Taylor earned that win.
Okay, that's fine with me.
Because Adamiak didn't. I think Plyman probably is a close second. But
I mean, like Miller Plyman, who would have expected that?
Right.
Did you expect Miller Plyman to be the first guy out of the pen?
I mean, in a midweek, in a 4-run game, kind of, sort of.
I guess. I don't know. But then Gabe Starks, he comes in and he looks really good.
Gabe Starks, yes.
He had a couple pitches that were just, he had some control issues. I think Dave Van Horn said that's one of the things with him is he's got the speed, he's got the stuff, he just has control issues.
Right. He had a walk and a wild pitch, gave up a hit as well. So he had runners in the corner, or 2 runners in scoring position, with 1 out, and then struck out Little Rock's top 2 guys and was out of the jam, no problem.
Yeah. So, I like Gabe Starks. I tweeted out that he throws a lot like Isaiah Campbell.
Yeah, I totally see it.
And when I say throws a lot like him, I'm not saying exactly like he throws as good as Isaiah Campbell. I'm saying just their motion, the delivery. They look a lot alike, and they both wear number 55. You think there was anything that went into that? Maybe we should have him on the podcast and ask him.
We should hit up Zay. Are his DMs open?
I don't know. We should. Anybody who can get us in contact with Isaiah Campbell. I also want to talk to him about his walk-up song because that was sick.
Well, he's in Little Rock, or he will be during the year, right? He's a AA with the Mariners.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's the what the Travelers are, the AA.
You know the Travelers are supposed to be leaving North Little Rock?
I heard about that.
Did we talk about that on the last podcast?
Not on the last podcast, but I think you or somebody else told me that they were thinking about going to Conway.
Yeah, that would be sick if they went to Conway. There's not, I mean, like, the fan base would be terrible. Nobody would really go to it, but...
You would have minor league baseball in your hometown.
Minor league baseball in my hometown. That would be crazy. So, what else do we need to talk about? Well, let's hit an ad read first. Barley and Vine in Bentonville. I mean, we keep talking about it, but... I want to go and just like feel the atmosphere because we went to the first seat and it's the same owners. So we went to the first seat and the first seat was awesome. Food was crazy good. Drinks were good and the atmosphere was great. TVs everywhere. But Barley and Vine's a little bit different. It's not like a restaurant where you're going to get bar food. This is a place where you literally just go get drinks and hang out with your friends. They have couches. They have games. They have board games. They have checkers. They have chess. They have darts. Like literally think of... You're going to go to your buddy's house and you guys are just going to have like game night or something. But this is a place where you can do it with everybody. They got a big TV and you can get really any drinks you want. They got 32 beers on tap. They got all kinds of wine. And you can just chill. You can watch the game. You can play games while you're watching the game. You can drink, play games, and watch the game. I mean, you can do everything at Barley and Vine.
Sounds like my kind of vibe. Honestly.
I know. I'm excited. I'm really excited to go. And you should be excited to go, too. If you want to visit them, it's 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. Thank you to Barley and Vine. And please go see them. If you do, tell them the Diamond Hogs podcast sent you, and maybe they will continue their sponsorship with us because they know that we're sending people their way. So
Be nice.
Okay. Just a quick update for Arkansas. Let's just go down the stats. I feel like we got to do a stat update. So Turner now leads the team in average. Turner time.
369. Nice.
Nice. That's actually really nice.
It is.
He's got 31 hits. That's a team high. He's got a team high 25 RBI. And let's see. He's got 4 home runs, so he's tied for second with Wallace. Then Lanzilli, 358. So Arkansas only has 3 guys hitting 300 because Wallace is at 304.
And 2 of them are over 350. I think it's not a stretch. Like, no bias here because I know we talk about it all the time. He was our first guest. But Michael Turner is unquestionably the best hitter on the team. Like,
right now, yeah.
I asked Van Horn about this after the UALR game, and I was like, dude, I haven't seen him pull a hit in forever. He's doing an incredible job of spraying the ball across the field. And he was like, yeah, he is.
Yeah. We know that he's a great hitter, and every time he goes up to the plate, he's just so confident. Like,
right.
He never looks like he's stressed or anything.
That opposite field stroke is just really, really pretty.
So him and Lanzilli, they're both doing great. Lanzilli's hitting 358.
Has been on base in every game this year.
Turner's slugging percentage is 631.
Which means that his OPS is above 1,000.
That's pretty darn good.
Quick, 631 plus 451. 1,081?
I don't
82?
know.
1,082?
I'm a journalism major.
Quick math.
Okay, so who else? Braden Webb, Brady Slavens is doing terrible. He's hitting 187. That's a guy you need to get doing better. Who else? There was one. Oh, Gregory, 281, 421. Slugging. What's his on base?
461, second on the team.
Lanzilli has the number 1 on base percentage.
Where do we stand in our runs update?
Runs. Gregory has 21.
Caden Wallace is running away with it.
Yeah, Wallace has 28. Gregory's second with 21, and then Turner is third with 20 runs on the year. Yeah, that's unfortunate for you.
Gregory's not playing the midweeks. Also, I included a caveat. I said per plate appearance if he like falls out of the rotation, the lineup or whatever.
So you're saying like per 9?
Yes,
Technically.
Yes.
Okay.
If it's some sort of ratio, hard to explain on air like this. I don't know, but
okay.
I'll do the calculation for next episode. I promise.
Okay. So all of the starting pitchers, they have under a 4 ERA. They're all like right in the same little area there, from 3.4 to 3.7. Nolan has the lowest ERA. I was thinking shortest, but that doesn't make sense.
Shortest ERA.
He has the shortest ERA. No, the lowest ERA. Sorry, the lowest ERA. And he has thrown the most innings. He's got the most strikeouts, 47.
Jackson Wiggins has only recorded 1 fewer out than Connor Nolan. How about that?
Wow.
Jackson Wiggins is the best pitcher on this team
Right now, yeah. I think if you're talking just best pitcher, like talent and everything, I think it's Hagen Smith.
Yeah. But I did not think that we would get to a point this season where we said Jackson Wiggins is the best pitcher on this team right now.
I know. I didn't think so
That's
either.
pretty crazy.
I thought we were going to get to a point where Jackson Wiggins was not going to be a starter anymore.
I think that summer he spent with Team USA and the additions to his pitching arsenal have done wonders for him, and it's shown. I mean, 3.7 is a little bit high for a starter, but I mean, if that's your highest of your 3, you'll take that.
Yeah.
Especially when he's given you 4 wins and they've won every one of his starts.
Yeah. So I'm happy with where Jackson Wiggins is at for this team. And Hagen Smith and Jackson Wiggins, their stats look a lot alike. Smith's giving up more hits, but I mean, they both have 37 strikeouts. Smith has 15 walks. Wiggins has 19, but Dave Van Horn said it. They're confident in their starters, but he said that they're only confident in 2 or 3 guys out of the bullpen. And you would have to think that's Brady Tigert, Evan Taylor, maybe Zeb.
Yeah. He did make sure to mention that he is confident in Zeb. He's had a couple consecutive outings now where he's given up a run in each, but I still don't think that should take away from what he's done to start the year. His ERA is still only 1.69. So
yeah, his last 2 outings have been a little rough. So he'll have to get through that because he pitched against Little Rock in the
gave up a couple of doubles in garbage time.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, all right. What else do we need to get to?
How about updates from the press conference today?
Yeah.
Jace Borfin is going to be on the roster for the Mississippi State series. That's pretty big.
Jace Borfin, I mean, it's big, but now you have even more crowded of an outfield.
Yes.
So you got to figure that out.
Good problem to have, according to Van Horn.
It's a good problem to have. Slavens, though, not good for Brady Slavens.
He's the odd guy out right now. I don't think there's any question about it.
You have to think, at the very least, Borfin's going to be DHing. I think they like Lanzilli in the field.
Borfin's a better fielder than Lanzilli.
Borfin's a better fielder, but if he's hurt, you think they'll bring him on in the field first or DHing first? They said he looks fine in live BP. So
right. I mean, he talked about he hasn't dove, he hasn't slid. So I mean, it's not going to be an issue. Like I think he's going to be cautious. He's not going to try to re-injure himself, right?
Yeah.
I think his glove is almost more valuable than his bat. At least the average, his batting average would suggest that. I know he had a really strong series right before he got hurt, but I think you got to put Borfin in the outfield.
Okay.
And if he sucks in one game, if he doesn't look like he can run very well, then stick Lanzilli right back out there.
Yep. Other things that he mentioned, he wants to see Nick Griffin and Nick Moten pitch this weekend. Those are 2 guys we talked on the podcast, especially Griffin, who was supposed to be the closer at some point and then potentially a starter. Now it's like I don't even know the last time we saw him.
Yeah, the Knicks, they've gotten a lot of hype, but we haven't really seen much of either. So
no.
Maybe we'll get a chance to do that this week.
Yeah. Well, neither of them pitched in the midweek, so that leaves them open for this weekend. And then he also said he wants to get Kendall Diggs more at bats, which I think would be great.
Yep, I asked him about that on Tuesday after the game. He's done a pretty good job of getting on base. I mean, his average is probably not the highest. Don't have it in front of me, but it feels like he's drawn a lot of walks. I mean, he said, I had a chat with him about driving in runs. Some point in the middle of the game, and then he goes out there his next at bat and drives in 3 with 1 swing. So
he's got a 190 batting average, but he's got a 433 on base.
Yeah, exactly. Draws a lot of walks. He gets on base, right? He's maybe Zach Gregory's prodigy.
Maybe he'll take over for Zach Gregory. Speaking of getting on base and Zach Gregory, Dave Van Horn might listen to the podcast. That or he follows me on Twitter, one of the 2.
So yeah, as if he was active on Twitter.
I know, yeah.
So we he was talking about, crowded outfield, right? Goes through all the guys. He said, Gregory, he's an on-base type guy. And we were going, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is, Dave.
What does he do, Dave?
He gets on base.
So, yeah. Dave Van Horn confirmed listens to the Diamond Hogs podcast.
That's really probably our biggest achievement.
I don't think that's confirmed, though. I don't think so. But that would be cool if he listened to our podcast. I don't know if he would. He doesn't need to because he's literally the coach of the team, so why does he care what we think?
Maybe we're the secret managers.
Well, if our Diamond Hogs, like the secret sauce or whatever we have when we have players on, if that actually works, he might be listening.
Maybe he is.
I don't think
Who
he
knows?
is, though. Okay.
Very unlikely. Short presser today, so not much, but that was sort of our big takeaways.
All right, well, we're going to get to Tanner Marlar of, what is it called again?
Cowbell Corner.
Cowbell Corner in the Reflector. He's going to tell you all about Mississippi State. But before we do, I want to remind you once again, Barley and Vine in Bentonville. Go check them out. They're the best place to watch a game in town. If you're not trying to get dinner and you're just trying to get a drink with your friends, it's the best place to go. You can go pick up dinner first, or you can eat dinner at the house and then go grab a drink. You can do whatever you want. And then you can go see them at 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. Craft beer tap room and wine bar, 32 beers on tap with several more in cans and bottles. I've realized since I turned 21, I don't know how to pick what beer I want to drink.
It's tricky. It is.
Because it's like you could pay $4 or $5 for one, and it ends up being garbage, and you're like, well, I just wasted money, Like I last night, I went to dinner, and I ordered a beer. It was a local beer, and I took one sip of it. And I was like, that is horrible. And I ended up just chugging the whole thing because I was like, I'm not wasting $5, you know?
Oh, my goodness.
I chugged the whole thing, and you know what I did? I chugged it, and I chased it with a slice of pizza. That's what I did.
That seems pretty on brand for you. Like, I can see that.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just, maybe not on brand, but I can visualize that pretty easily. You know what I was going to say? You were talking about leaving that or eating dinner at the house and then going to Barley and Vine. What if you do a little bar crawl in Bentonville? You get dinner at the first seat.
Yes.
And then you go to Barley and Vine.
Yes, that's exactly what you need to do, because the food's great at the first seat, who doesn't even sponsor us anymore. It's the same owner, so kind of. We should talk them into letting us do both their bars at the same time. But
we've just pitched an outstanding plan.
We have a bar crawl from first seat to Barley and Vine. But go to Barley and Vine. I was about to say at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, literally, actually, obviously, at the end of the day, go to Barley and Vine and hang out with your friends. Once again, downtown Bentonville. Anyways, all right, we're going to get to Tanner Marlar right now.
You're listening to the Diamond Hogs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
All right, we now welcome on Tanner Marlar from the Reflector and from Cowbell Corner, covering Mississippi State athletics and Mississippi State baseball. Tanner, thank you for joining us. And I think the big question that you've probably been asked a lot and that everybody wants to know is, what's up with Mississippi State?
Oh man, it's been a lot of up and down so far. You started out the season still kind of on that hangover almost from the national championship run, and then obviously expectations were, in my opinion, a little too high, as they are with almost every national championship season. And just a series of unfortunate events here early in the season. Obviously, Landon Sims and Stone Simmons going down doesn't help that whatsoever. But it's been up and down so far. There's still a lot of question marks, and now we're in SEC play. And that's not exactly a place you want to have question marks on an SEC baseball team.
From what you've seen, what is the identity of this pitching staff post Landon Sims and Stone Simmons? Is that the other guy you said?
Yeah, I think it's more or less going to have to be, more by committee, because obviously Landon Sims is your ace. He's your star power guy. He's the guy you can throw in and have confidence that you're going to win it against anybody you play, of the bats or even, lukewarm. But without him, the pitching staff now has to be kind of solid by committee, instead of just Sims going out there and throwing 7 innings of, one hit ball or something like that. So it's been interesting watching Chris Lemonis kind of try to fit that puzzle together. I think he's done a fairly good job with what he's had with bringing Parker Stinnett in, keeping some more guys in the rotation like Preston. Preston Johnson has been very solid so far this season. So he's getting those pieces closer together. And I think maybe after the Bama series, a little too close for comfort nonetheless, but maybe a momentum building win in an SEC series is what this team needs.
Yeah, so I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. The series against Georgia was a little rough the first 2 games for sure, but then they go off and they scored 20 runs on Sunday. And so what is it with this Mississippi State team? Is it that the bats are going cold, that the pitchers are just not there, or what is it where they do bad the first 2 games and then they go and score 20?
Well, a lot of it comes down to that this is the first year of Chris Lemonis' tenure at Mississippi State that all of these guys are his guys. All of these guys are Lemonis recruits. So what you're seeing is this new brand of baseball at Mississippi State that we're not really used to. Mississippi State for, decades now has been this: we're going to single you to death. We're going to ribby you to death. And that's it. We're not going to use the long ball that much. But as you guys know, especially over there in Fayetteville, the game has changed. There's such a focus on the long ball now. And I think Chris Lemonis is, kind of at maybe not at the forefront, but is a part of that. So it's a much more power heavy lineup. I think when we started the season, I said, I will not be surprised if this team has an egregious amount more of strikeouts than last year's team, just because they want to hit the long ball. That's what they're good at. And I think getting into this SEC slate, a lot of it has been, like you said, really streaky. And is that because, these guys are used to seeing Landon Sims and guys like that in practice, and they're throwing 90 plus, and you're going out here, playing close midweek games to guys that are throwing 88, 85 sometimes. Maybe that's part of the streakiness. Maybe it's the fact that we've honestly had a little bit of cold weather here in Starkville the last early in the season before the bats have really kind of warmed up. So consistency is definitely something I think they need to look forward to and obviously bring more of to the plate. But it's coming and going, and I think the pieces are there.
All right, we now welcome on Tanner Marlar from the Reflector and from Cowbell Corner, covering Mississippi State athletics and Mississippi State baseball. Tanner, thank you for joining us. And I think the big question that you've probably been asked a lot and that everybody wants to know is, what's up with Mississippi State?
Oh man, it's been a lot of up and down so far. You started out the season still kind of on that hangover almost from the national championship run, and then obviously expectations were, in my opinion, a little too high, as they are with almost every national championship season. And just a series of unfortunate events here early in the season. Obviously, Landon Sims and Stone Simmons going down doesn't help that whatsoever. But it's been up and down so far. There's still a lot of question marks, and now we're in SEC play. And that's not exactly a place you want to have question marks on an SEC baseball team.
What is from what you've seen, what is the identity of this pitching staff post Landon Sims and Stone Simmons? Is that the other guy you said?
Yeah, I think it's more or less going to have to be, more by committee, because obviously Landon Sims is your ace. He's your star power guy. He's the guy you can throw in and have confidence that you're going to win it against anybody you play, if the bats or even, lukewarm. But without him, the pitching staff now has to be kind of solid by committee instead of just Sims going out there and throwing 7 innings of, one hit ball or something like that. So it's been interesting watching Chris Lemonis kind of try to fit that puzzle together. I think he's done a fairly good job with what he's had with bringing Parker Stinnett in, keeping some more guys in the rotation like Preston. Preston Johnson has been very solid so far this season. So he's getting those pieces closer together. And I think maybe after the Bama series, a little too close for comfort nonetheless, but maybe a momentum building win in an SEC series is what this team needs.
Yeah, so I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. The series against Georgia was a little rough the first 2 games for sure, but then they go off and they scored 20 runs on Sunday. And so what is it with this Mississippi State team? Is it that the bats are going cold, that the pitchers are just not there, or what is it where they do bad the first 2 games and then they go and score 20?
Well, a lot of it comes down to that this is the first year of Chris Lemonis' tenure at Mississippi State that all of these guys are his guys. All of these guys are Lemonis recruits. So what you're seeing is this new brand of baseball at Mississippi State that we're not really used to. Mississippi State for, decades now has been this: we're going to single you to death. We're going to ribby you to death. And that's it. We're not going to use the long ball that much. But as you guys know, especially over there in Fayetteville, the game has changed. There's such a focus on the long ball now. And I think Chris Lemonis is, kind of at maybe not at the forefront, but is a part of that. So it's a much more power heavy lineup. I think when we started the season, I said, I will not be surprised if this team has an egregious amount more of strikeouts than last year's team, just because they want to hit the long ball. That's what they're good at. And I think getting into this SEC slate, a lot of it has been, like you said, really streaky. And is that because, these guys are used to seeing Landon Sims and guys like that in practice, and they're throwing 90 plus, and you're going out here, playing close midweek games to guys that are throwing 88, 85 sometimes. Maybe that's part of the streakiness. Maybe it's the fact that we've honestly had a little bit of cold weather here in Starkville the last early in the season before the bats have really kind of warmed up. So consistency is definitely something I think they need to look forward to and obviously bring more of to the plate. But it's coming and going, and I think the pieces are there.
So for the Arkansas fans who don't watch a whole lot of Mississippi State baseball, who are some names that they really need to look out for? Like Cameron James, Brad Cumbest, and Hunter Hines all stand out to me because they're hitting above 300. But can you talk about those three guys and anybody else that people need to keep an eye on?
Oh, yeah. Cam James, for start. I think Cam James, pound for pound, is one of the most talented athletes the Mississippi State baseball program's ever seen. He can play at the hot corner. We've seen that. He had a stint in the outfield, I think he lost one or two balls in the sun and got moved back, but can really play a lot of spots on defense and has an electric bat. Can go yard at any given notice. Just an athlete. Brad Cumbest, kind of the same way. Brad Cumbest came here on a dual scholarship for baseball and football, has since vacated his spot with the football team and has been focused on baseball full time and has made an amazing turnaround out of it. I think pound for pound, he's 6'6", every bit of probably, I think he's listed at 230 something, maybe close to 250. He's just huge. And he's a tower of power. He can put the ball out of play. He could hit the ball 400 feet. He's also incredibly fast. He was a tight end. He's a freak athlete that, if he doesn't go yard, he can beat the throw to first. Definitely Brad's somebody to watch out for. And as you said with Hunter Hines, another just super powerful guy that has bursted onto the scene this year. A freshman, there was a lot of buzz surrounding him coming into the season, and he's delivered. But in terms of somebody that may be flying under the radar, and I find it hard to, obviously it doesn't jump off the stat sheet just now because he had a very slow start this season, but Kellum Clark hit 8 home runs in the postseason last year, had a very slow start this season. I think he went 0 for his first 16. Actually, I think he went more than that, but he went a very long time without finding that long ball. But he's another one of those guys that's just a tower of power. Coming into the season, I predicted he would hit 20 home runs this year. And surprisingly, he's pretty close to that, on track.
So when you look at this Mississippi State team, what do you think is the identity of the team? Because we look at Arkansas, and we feel like the identity of them right now is they're trusting their starting pitching, and they're never giving up on we're going to score runs at some point. For Mississippi State, you guys have lost more games. You lost 10 games on the year. So if you look at those games that they've lost, maybe do you see like an identity in those losses, or do you see more of an identity in the wins?
I tend to see more identity in the wins because a lot of those losses came a lot earlier on in the season. Like I said, when they were playing in the cold, when they hadn't really kind of figured out the hitting lineup yet. I really think the identity of this Mississippi State team, and I've said this all year, is going to be the long ball. It's going to be the power hitters. I think pound for pound, it's a more powerful lineup than Mississippi State had last season. I think that's by no means a stretch. You had R.J. Yeager in there, transfer from Mercer, who's recently found his bat and has just lit it up the last, 4 or 5 games. So I really think the identity of this team is the long ball. And in a Mississippi State-Arkansas matchup, the long ball versus, this type of Arkansas team is not something we've seen too much, at least in this rivalry. So I think it's going to be an incredibly interesting weekend, and I know the country's going to be tuned into it, to say the least.
You sort of got into this a little bit, but can you give us the scouting report on the 3 starters, being Preston Johnson, Parker Stinnett, and Cade Smith?
Yeah, Cade Smith, to start with him, he's been rock solid all year. He had, again, a lot of high hopes coming into the season, sliding into that Sunday spot, a difficult spot for a guy that really hasn't seen much time. But he's delivered, he's young. I think he's only a freshman. Yeah. So he's only going to be able to give you so many innings before that arm just kind of, falls off, like we saw with Jackson Fristow last year as a true freshman with Mississippi State. So he's been very solid in his Sunday spot. But Preston Johnson has came along and impressed. There to start the year, the Saturday guy was a little bit of a question mark. Preston Johnson slid into that before Landon Sims got hurt and really kind of solidified his spot there. He's not a guy that's going to blow a ball by you. He's not a guy that's going to just wow you with his stuff, but he's going to pound the zone. He's going to really mix up his pitch count. He's a veteran. He's a veteran guy, and that's how he pitches. And then with the Friday guy, Parker Stinnett, was a middle reliever for most of his career at Mississippi State and has since, stepped into this starting role. And as a middle reliever, he would always take a couple innings to really get warmed up. And when he got warmed up, he was phenomenal. But by that time, it was time for Sims to come in and close. So Parker Stinnett now, I think, has really slid into that starter role, and he's pitched well. He's got ridiculous stuff. I mean, if you watch his highlights, his movement on that ball is ridiculous. So the three starters like that, I think it's obviously not what Mississippi State was hoping for at the start of the season, but I think it's something they can work with going forward.
All right. Well, we won't waste much more of your time, but this is a question that I always like to ask. From your perspective, looking at Arkansas, what do Mississippi State fans or Mississippi State media think of Arkansas? Because from the Arkansas perspective, we look at Mississippi State and say, well, they're down this year. They're not that great of a team. What do you guys think of Arkansas?
Obviously, Arkansas in college baseball is a staple at this point. I don't buy into the argument whatsoever that Arkansas is not a blue blood in college baseball at this point because of the consistent talent and the consistent level of play that they've been able to keep at. You know what you're getting with Arkansas. You're going to get, a top-tier team for 9 straight innings. And, this Mississippi State team, I think it has the talent to compete with that. Is it hot enough to compete with that? Is it in the right mindset to compete with that? All that's to be determined this weekend, and it's going to be incredibly exciting to see.
All right, so I got 2 more here for you. I want to get a score prediction, a series score prediction from you, and a bold prediction of just anything you want to throw out there.
I'll give you 2 and 1. Either Arkansas will win this series 2-1, or Mississippi State will sweep it.
I can see that.
That's my bold prediction. They will either come into this series in the right mindset, laser focused, knowing what kind of pitching they're seeing, because it's pitching like they were used to seeing from Landon Sims and guys like that in practice and in scrimmage, and light up the scoreboard, or they'll come in, they'll manage to win 1 game, and we'll head back to Starkville saying, oh, we didn't get swept. You never don't get swept on the road.
All right. I don't think that's too far, but it's also a little bit bold. So
look, I tried, man. I tried to deliver.
I would say you did. I mean, this series has been weird this rivalry has been weird over the last 5-6 years or whatever. It feels like there've been a lot of sweeps,
It has. It's been one of the strangest and most crazy in college baseball, and it delivers every year. I always say it, the Arkansas-Mississippi State series every year is must-watch television.
I got to ask, Baumwalker compared to Duty Noble, what are you saying? I mean, you're probably going Duty Noble because you're a Mississippi State guy, but do you have respect for Baumwalker?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Any school that can put that much effort and that much support and that much enthusiasm behind a college baseball program gets my full support and full recognition for packing the place out. And it's not even just big schools. Louisiana Tech, the Love Shack. I don't know if you guys have seen that place. That place is rocking. It's not huge, but they love the team. They love the program. They love the sport, and it shows. It shows that attitude shows at a place like Duty Noble. It shows at a place like Baumwalker. It shows at a place like the Box. So stadiums like that, personally, as you said, I'm a little biased. I have to go with the dude, but I have mad respect for anybody that can pack out a baseball stadium to that level and bring that level of intensity and enthusiasm to every game.
Awesome. Well, Tanner, this was awesome. We appreciate your time, man, and hopefully we can get you back on sometime. Maybe the teams will meet in the regionals or supers or something like that.
Hey, maybe so, man. Look, it's been awesome with you guys as always. Just thank you guys for having me on such short notice. I really enjoyed it. As always, I appreciate both of your time. It's been great working with you guys over the past year.
All right. Thanks, Tanner.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
You're listening to the Diamond Hogs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
Big thanks to Tanner Marlar of the Reflector and
Cowbell Corner.
Cowbell Corner. I keep forgetting Cowbell Corner. Big thanks to him. And Tanner was brought to you by the Encore Group. When it comes to selling your home, you need representation that will knock it out of the park. Like Michael Turner, Chris Lanzilli,
Braden Webb,
Caden Wallace, Braden Webb. All those guys, they can knock it out of the park, and so can the Encore Group. Matt Grissom and the Encore Group at RE/MAX Elite will go to bat for you. Like Michael Turner, Robert Moore, Braden Webb, Chris Lanzilli. Well, I mean, we could go on and on.
You just go 1 through 9 down the Razorbacks.
You can go more than 1 through 9 with the Razorbacks. And with the Encore group, every single one of them are going to hit like Michael Turner, which is they're going to hit the ball really well for you and your real estate needs. With 14 years of experience and experts at marketing and negotiating, the Encore Group will get you the most amount of money for your home in the shortest amount of time. That means you don't have to waste your time. They'll get you a lot of money, and you're not wasting your time. So when it comes to selling your home, do not risk it. Selling real estate in Arkansas, go to the Encore Group. For more information, visit sellingarkansas.com. Big thanks to the Encore Group.
It sounds like a winning combination. Not wasting time and selling your home.
It is a winning combination. You know what else is another winning combination? Our bar crawl that we talked about. Go to the First Seat and then go to Barley & Vine, who actually sponsors us right now. Barley & Vine, 113 West Central Avenue, Suite 103 in downtown Bentonville. Robert, are you going to go to Barley & Vine?
Of course.
How many beers do they have on tap? Let's test your memory.
32.
32. Do they have more in cans and bottles?
Yes, they do.
What kind of wines do they have?
Red, white, sparkling.
You listen. So if you listen, then everybody listens. Go to Barley & Vine. We're going to go to Barley & Vine, and we're going to play
shuffleboard
and
darts
and
chess, checkers,
and
all of the above.
And board games. They have board games too, yes.
Well, so checkers are board games.
Technically, yes, they are. And we're gonna sit on the couch. We're gonna watch the baseball game probably next weekend against Florida. How about let's just mark it down in the calendar right now? Let's go do that.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody, meet us at Barley & Vine. What, Friday night probably?
Probably Thursday.
You think Thursday? Better?
Maybe. I don't know.
We'll see.
Either Thursday or Friday. We'll have it locked down by this time next week.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know when we're going. Anyways, Barley & Vine, thank you to their sponsorship. And so Arkansas plays Mississippi State this weekend. Friday's game, national television, 6 p.m., SEC Network, Arkansas, Mississippi State. Pretty big.
It is pretty big.
Connor Nolan versus whatever his name is.
Well, see, I thought it was going to be Preston Johnson, but Tanner made it sound like it was going to be Parker Stinnett. So we'll see. One of those two guys.
Well, we know it's going to be Connor Nolan.
It's Friday night, Arkansas, Mississippi State. It's going to be so good.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful.
I'm so excited.
I hope the weather's great. And then
better than this freaking snow.
I know, it snowed on Thursday. So then they play Saturday, SEC Network Plus at 6:30, and then Sunday at 2, also SEC Network Plus. So go check it out. If you can't get out to the ballpark, go to Barley & Vine. Go watch the game there. They'll have it on. And anyways, thank you guys for listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast. Robert, you have anything else to say?
SEC baseball again this weekend. How exciting. We get to do this for the next 8 weeks again.
I'm excited.
What a life we live. It's awesome.
The SEC baseball stretch is awesome.
It really is.
It is. So anyways, we're really appreciative of everybody that listens, and we will talk to you Thursday because that's when they play Florida.
You've been listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Choate Mason and at DRStew32.